Dire's middle tower has fallen.
Is this how Dire's middle barracks fall?
Dire's middle barracks might fall.
It's a spout of
Dire's middle barracks have fallen.
Scared to go another round?
Dire's bottom tower is under attack.
Radiant are scanning for enemies.
Hidden treasures.
Dire's bottom tower won't last long. Dire's structures are fortified. Dire's bottom tower is about to flounder.
the right objectives in the game, whether that's pushing out the right kind of creep way to defend a tower, being able to start a fight by just going forward and tanking it with his face. Like, he's ready to make that kind of play for the rest of his team to follow up. So make sure that Old 11 doesn't have a good game. Try and get a superior mid matchup. That way Yi doesn't run over your mid. Then again, Moon is really strong and he's shown so much strength in the past that maybe he can take it to Yi, who's been the most dominant mid laner at this turn.
So if they're dictating the pace down on their off laner, that didn't seem to matter in the last 4 games, where they've gone later in the game as they needed to as well. So they've got that in the back as well. They're not too worried. If that gets taken away from them, they'll just iterate across and come up with something slightly different.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's exactly as Cap says, right? Like, just giving Old 11 an objective. It doesn't need to be an objective on the map. It just needs to be an objective, like his objective for the game. You know, his quest that he needs to complete is make space for the Spectre, for example. Yeah. It doesn't necessarily need to be something that's blatantly obvious. But
yeah, they've got a lot to worry about over on Mineski's side. Especially when you think Yi's had such a good tournament, and as you said, Cap, try and get him on something that you can get him pinned down on. That's been tough as it is, and even when you do put him on the back foot, he can still win his lane. Yeah, he can still come back as well.
It's definitely scary. The King Gaming, I'm not sure if Juggernaut has really made that strong of a showing at this tournament. It's a nice, safe core pickup. That would be the other ban. King Gaming is sticking with the same bans that they had against Mineski in the group stage. While Mineski, meanwhile, because it's been a long tournament, they also lost to King Gaming. They're changing up their bans. They're still going to keep the Doom out of the pool, but they're daring the Razor. They're just leaving that out in the pool and seeing what Keen does.
Yeah, leaving the Razor, leaving the Disruptor. One thing that Gunnar mentioned as well is that Keen really don't care about this Enigma in the first phase. They'll just say, sure, and then run over you.
I think it's because the speed at which Keen Gaming plays, right? They don't care if you have like this slow 4 position that doesn't actually do things for you, because they'll just kind of run you over during that timing. So.
What do you think about that as being a 3, though? Because KP's actually played the Enigma as the 3 for Mineski a few times as well. It doesn't have to be a Febby hero. So
it has potential, but I think you need a good reason to be able to do it. Because otherwise, I think you're maybe giving up a...
to, you know, have someone just in there on the front lines. You know, this Slaughter general.
But they don't get to decide this. It's the team's chance to decide as we head into Game 1 of the Grand Final.
You fought well and true.
It is grand final time at ESL 1 Mumbai. I hope you are prepared, both in body, mind, and caffeine. Mineski versus Keen. This one, we can go the distance. We can have some late game heroes. Kyle, we can have well-rounded drafts from Mineski. It feels good.
Real quick, though, you asked if the crowd was ready, and I didn't hear a peep. Crowd? Hello? That's more like it.
I'll count that as a peep. Let's focus on our game. We'll bring it serious now. Just before the hype, we'll have time for that. We've got 5 full games hopefully coming our way. Draft in for Mineski. They got the ES. They managed to slip through the ban pool, and Keen were willing to actually do this. There was discussion about like, oh yeah, you let Enigma through, but ES is in. The Wyvern stolen pick from Mineski. They've got this real nice synergy. A great Slaughter pickup as well, which we've seen a lot of success with KP on. A lot of great things that seems to just be adding up for Mineski with their draft.
And I think it's a great example of what makes BO5 series so special. This is why teams just love playing in finals, because you get a chance to truly test out your Dota, and you make little tweaks. I love that we see the Lycan stolen from TNC. I think that could be an excellent hero to play up against Keen very fast. This lineup of Mineski can have so much tempo if they're able to win the lanes. The big weakness of heroes like Nyx and Lich and Spectre is that if you're on their structures by 20-25 minutes, they really don't have much of a counterplay.
So how do they actually slow this up? Like, how does Keen buy that time, knowing that Mineski want to play the fast pace? Because normally it's like, it's Keen that we keep talking about, saying that they are the fast pace runners.
Yeah, and they've had a much slower lineup created at the moment, but It's worked out so well for them so far. I think this mid lane is going to be critical. Razor versus SF. Moon going for the nuke first build. I think this is the right play. As you can see, if you try and last hit solely with your auto attacks.
Mid lane. Courier snipe. It's in there from Ninja Boogie. He's got the range thanks to the Arctic Burn. Already able to catch it out between the towers. That's going to be really problematic for Yi.
Yeah, well, it's been currently my MVP for King Gaming, so it's a huge slay right there from Ninja Boogie, and a ton of gold as well. Does slow down his top lane. I love the Tide pick. I expected a Tide, an Underlord, or possibly a Timbersaw. They needed some huge, like, walrus of a hero to just plant himself between the Mineski lineup and the objectives, and Tide is especially good against both Lycan and Slardar because of the Anchor Smash and the fact that you can't really stun lock this hero to death ever because of Kraken Shell.
Also the fact that Old Eleven's had a lot more time on this top lane. Ninja Boogie was killing off the Courier in mid. It's been a great effect, but Lycan CS, it's not terrible. But Tide Hunter can get done from range every time this Arctic Burn comes off cooldown. You see Ajit as well as Ninja Boogie doing as much damage as possible to him. While Febby is just this never-ending roamer. He can't help the off lane. It's a defensive tri-lane against KP. All he can do is leech experience on the off.
But this is one of, like, I think since Dota 1, right? A vintage combo. Shadow Fiend, Earthshaker. You're going to have the setup for multiple nukes. One Fisher block. When SF is level 3 or 5, that Razor is surely going to go down. And you want to be able to play aggressive as Shadow Fiend. You don't want somebody able to run at you under tower, especially not a hero like Razor that wins his matchups when he's able to be that aggressor.
If you can get those items early enough in the farm against Moon, it's going to help out. So far, however, that CS is not looking fantastic. Still only 8-0 and Febby is waiting, but he's waiting underneath the Radiant Observer ward, so there's no way that Yi gets caught out.
Yeah. Still is quite annoying, though. You kind of have to watch the Shadow Fiend outlast at you. Top lane, they're going for Tide just a little bit, but...
Yeah, with the Splinter Blast and the Wolves looking to do the body block, Arctic Burn just burning through that life of Tide Hunter. It's still not enough. It's 780 HP they've got to get through. That's a lot of work.
Oh, Febby's so close to landing the block. That would have been a sure kill on Razor. Instead, he's just going to salve up, no problems.
They need to trap him on that northern side of the mid-river. So SF can hit into him.
Important to note, Keen don't have any hero that's capable of rotating towards jungle. That's why this mid matchup for Yi is so important, because you don't have a core that's free to impact the other lanes unless the Razor's ahead and he can look to just run there, counter gank, TP in. Otherwise, Mineski's going to be able to make moves far more easily.
Shields are up. KP feels a little deep. Ninja Boogie's going to try and help him get out of this one, but KP doesn't have the life. And first blood is spilled by Keen.
Yep. This is all because Febby's just not playing with him. He's looking to secure mid lane, but very tough down bottom against a Lich, one of the better heroes at zoning in a 2-on-1 scenario. You can see why. He just chased down with the Frost Shield the last 6 seconds.
Especially when he prioritizes leveling it too. Yep. It's a 1-2-0 build for that level 3 Lich.
Yeah.
So if KP wants to keep coming closer, he can do so, but Ninja Boogie is now forced to sit on bottom lane. Not his desire.
Yep.
As Tide Hunter is just zoning out the Lycan. And now you'll start to see the CS start to crop up. With 2 points up in Anchor Smash, Lycan's got a lot harder time locking down the Tide.
And I will say, the one thing that I fear is when we saw TNC play that really long game yesterday against Keen, the thing they were missing was a break mechanic against the Spectre. And in that game, they also had an offlaner that would have been affected, the Underlord. This game, you have Tide. I question whether or not this Shadow Fiend could have easily just been a Viper and increased not like really the late game scaling potential and the early game tempo, and it's a better laner.